not. Oh my God, I smell crabs.
At the end of the day, I'm not going to let that woman make me bitter or nasty. Not holding anger and evilness, because then I would be reciprocating her evil.
Gotcha.
Okay?
But evil is a strong word.
No, it's not when it comes to Mia Thornton.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 8, Episodes 15 and 16. Yes, it's a double recap. And before we get started, let me just say, thank y'all so much for the love, for all your well wishes. When I tell y'all, I have just been thinking about you guys so much. The way I missed y'all, I'm happy to be back in front of this camera talking to you guys again. Because when I tell y'all, my wisdom teeth had me out, y'all. I mean, I have never been so thankful to have my wisdom teeth removed because they started hurting out of nowhere. I'm still healing, still not at 100%. I might not be as animated as I usually am in other videos, but like I said, I'm gonna do my best to entertain you guys and to have some fun. Now, let me just start it off by saying I am so ready for us to get to this reunion. I feel like there is nothing more for us to see. This season has been a complete flop, a complete letdown. We did not get anything of substance. I feel like conversations were had a bit too late with the Wendy versus Nneka. That sit down should have happened earlier on in the season. This Jacqueline versus Mia beef, 16 episodes in, I forgot all about it. They should have had Jacqueline and Mia sit down and talk episodes ago. That should have happened around episode 7 or episode 8, in my opinion. I really feel like production dropped the ball this season because this season really could have been so much better. And the main issue is this cast hates each other, and you cannot have a cohesive show or great storylines or great group scenes when you have 3 people not speaking to this person's beefing with that person, these 2 are icing everybody else out. You're not going to have a well-rounded show. It's just not going to happen.
No.
Now, I had teased y'all on Twitter about my thoughts for season 9. We all know that the reunion was filmed last Thursday, and that Mia and Karen were both first chair. For the first time in 8 seasons, Gizelle Bryant was not in the first chair next to Andy. We see that Ashley and Nneka are both at the end of the couch. And usually, when you are at the end, that signals that you were not that great that season and that your job is up for grabs and that you have to bring it at this reunion. Now, my predictions for season 9, I do believe that Ashley Darby will either be fired or demoted to a friend of. Let's be clear. Ashley has not brought us anything. This whole divorce storyline has been a complete flop. She even said in episode 15 that Michael does not want to be filmed and he barely wants her to speak about him or else he will sue her. So that puts her spot on this show in jeopardy. Back to Gizelle being second chair. I think that production and the network is sending Gizelle a message that nobody is irreplaceable and that you too, sis, while you might be an OG and while you might be the face of Potomac, you can still get your walking papers too. I think with the backlash, the Essence article, with Gizelle being on the outs and trying to ice people out, with the group not being able to come together because of Gizelle's nasty attitude, I won't be surprised if somebody tapped her on her shoulder and let her know, baby, it's either you make up with people on this cast or you might get demoted and your spot might be in jeopardy too. Because again, the whole premise of this show is to watch affluent, rich women being able to navigate with each other in a group. And there has to be some resolution. We do not want to watch women who hate each other. It's not fun to watch. I would not be surprised if going forward for season 9, if everybody decides, you know what, for the sake of the show and for the sake of all of our jobs, let's just put this all to bed. Let's all get along. We don't have to be best friends, but let's just all move it along so that way we can have a show and make it to season 10 and still get this money. I would not be surprised if season 9 we see a completely different Gizelle and Robyn where they actually do get along with Wendy and Candiace. Because again, this show cannot move on at the rate that it's going. Now again, just my opinion, just my theory. I could be way off base. Maybe they don't find any resolution at the reunion, but I wouldn't be surprised if Gizelle and Robyn end up saying, you know what? We're fighting a losing battle. The audience has checked out. This beef is tired. Let's just put this all to bed and be cordial and be able to film scenes together to collect this money. Because you could say what you want, but a lot of these women are not that financially secure on this franchise in particular. Because if this show ends tomorrow, I really only feel like only a few of the women on this show will still be okay financially. But y'all, with all that being said, we have a lot to get into. So let's just jump right on into it because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. So we open up episode 15 right where we left it off in the last episode with Gizelle, Mia, Ashley, and Robyn all talking about how they peeped Wendy and Candiace making faces at the dinner last night. So Wendy and Candiace walk up to them and they can tell that something's being said. So Wendy says, what are y'all talking about? Of course, everybody's on mute. I said, Gizelle, speak up. You were just talking all that rah, rah, rah and saying, you know, that's effed up. You know, get the F out of here. Talking about my kid like that. Now when Wendy and Candiace pull up, now you're silent? Say what you have to say. And I thought it was so pathetic when you were like, oh, I don't want to talk about it right now. And Wendy said, no, what were you talking about? Like, girl, say it with your chest because obviously something's being said about me and Candiace. So now you have Robyn jumping in, being Gizelle's mouthpiece. And I said, Robyn, Gizelle is too damn old and too damn grown to have anybody else speaking up for her. Let her say what she has to say. Why do you have to jump in? So anyhow, you have Robyn saying that she peeped the dirty looks that they were giving each other when Gizelle was talking about Grace and she didn't like it. Now, Robyn, here's what I don't like when it comes to you. The fact that you hid your entire storyline about Juan cheating on you, you hid that for an entire season. I don't like how you dropped the story behind a paywall. I don't like how you tried to expose Candiace with that JBL speaker last season. I don't like how you always deflect and never talk about your real life. I don't like how you chase behind a man who does not want you and has made it clear that he does not want you. Don't talk about what you don't like because I don't like a lot of stuff about you and your actions and how awful you are. And also, girl, spare me all that, oh, I don't like that when it comes to the children because you did not care anything about Wendy's kids last year. And that's why your family fun day was a flop. You didn't even have food. You had 3 jump ropes and a worn out football and thought you were doing something. Didn't even have food for the kids or any water. Not a Capri Sun, not anything. So girl, again, not too much. So Wendy's irritated, rightfully so, and she says, Gizelle, let me tell you something. I would never speak about anybody's children. And when it comes to your daughter, you weaponize your daughter against me because 2 years ago, you lied saying that I gave your daughter dirty looks. So when it comes to your daughter, I purposely make sure not to speak about her or say anything because you lied on me saying that I was giving her looks when I wasn't. So of course, Gizelle's just sitting there not saying anything. And I said again, sis, you're sitting up there accusing her of giving you dirty looks when you brought up your daughter, but now that she's telling you that's not the case, now you don't say anything? I hate how immature and petty Gizelle is. If you have something to say, then just say it. But all that talking behind Wendy's back, but now when she's face to face, now you're silent? Very cowardly. And also, Gizelle, let's be really clear. We know how hateful you are. If Wendy was speaking about her kids, you'd be rolling your eyes, doing your hair, like, oh my gosh, why are we talking about this? You know you would. So again, sis, let's not. Now, Karen jumps in and she's low-key defending Wendy and Candiace, and she says, Gizelle, you're overlooking the fact that they both give each other funky faces at different times. So, of course, Gizelle is upset that Karen's not defending her, and she says that if this were the other way around, if somebody were talking poorly or giving nasty looks about her daughter Raven, she would definitely jump in and defend Karen. So the fact that Karen isn't defending her says a lot. And again, Gizelle, please stop reaching. You know good and damn well that Wendy and Candiace are not talking badly about your daughter. They're not making faces about your daughter. They were just making faces because you were talking. It could have been you talking about a pineapple and they would have been rolling their eyes. Like, again, do not try to turn this into another issue. And I just have a quick question. Why is it okay for everybody else to make faces and laugh and poke and prod, but when Candiace and Wendy do it, now it's a problem? I love when Candiace said, okay, so when you guys laugh, it's fine, but when I laugh at something, now it's an issue. And now you have Ashley jumping in, talking about, but why did you chuckle, babe? Why did you do that? I was like, Ashley, please shut up. Just stop. All the nasty lowdown things that you say and do, and now you want to question somebody about why they gave a look. So instead of Robyn and Gizelle being mature adults and saying, you know what, Wendy and Candiace, I understand, I get it, Gizelle is still silent, and now you have Robyn interject, and she says, well, anyway, dinner tonight is going to be at the villa, and in celebration of Ashley, the theme is going to be Havana Nights, so everybody dress up in your best Havana Nights outfit. So now we're back at the villa, everybody's getting ready, and when I tell y'all, I don't know what it is about Nneka and these unflattering two-piece short sets, but I need for her to stop. Let them go. I feel like those outfits do nothing for her. They're not flattering. They're not cute. And Nneka, for you to be the rich bitch that you claim to be, you have 3 houses in Florida, 2 in Wisconsin, 3 in LA, 8 in Nigeria. Why are your outfits so unappealing? I mean, Miss Mamas, if you have the coin, then can we please see it with the clothing? But, you know, I'm not surprised, though, because the only well-dressed ladies on Potomac are Karen, Wendy, and Candiace. And Karen has come a long way because in the first 4 seasons, Karen was giving us, I don't know. And then, Nneka, you have the audacity to be as nasty as you are wearing the wrong foundation shade. You're wearing foundation that is 2 shades too light. Gizelle came out with that gold dress on. Honey, Candiace's facial expressions were sending me. She was like, okay, I guess. When Ashley came out in her costume, I said, girl, at least it's a theme dinner. But Candiace goes on to say that Ashley generally looks like a $2 hoe, but tonight is giving $2 Chiquita banana is cute. So they all sit down for dinner and everybody's, for the most part, having a good time. I mean, they just sat down. But as they're passing the food around, you have Karen address Robyn and Candiace, and she wants to know, where do they stand? Now, here's my thing. Y'all have got to learn how to just leave things alone. Everybody, for the most part, has been pretty cordial on this trip. Why keep bringing up Robyn and Candiace's friendship? Or the lack thereof? At this point, it's like beating a dead horse. They have talked about the issue multiple times. They had a one-on-one sit down at the bakery. What was that, episode 10 or episode 11? It got nowhere. So Karen, why do you feel the need to keep bringing this up when you know that they don't speak, they don't get along, they're no longer friends? So why even mention this? And I understand that Karen wants to play Switzerland all the time. She wants to be the peacemaker. But I find it very aggravating at times because this does not need to be a conversation. So you have Robyn saying that the problem is Candiace feels like she did nothing wrong and how Candiace slandered her and how she could sue Candiace for defamation. They were all like, girl, what? So Candiace says it's not defamation for me saying my feelings. So now you have Robyn going on to say that she defended Chris and how she regrets it now. And I said, Robyn, while that's true, you do have to remember that at last year's reunion, you low-key backpedaled and you said, well, honestly, married men should not be in the same dressing room with a woman that's not their wife. That was low-key co-signing what Gizelle was saying. And I think that's the real reason why Candiace got pissed off. Like, girl, what are you trying to say now? And also, sis, Candiace getting on you for hiding that whole storyline about Juan cheating on you last year. Anybody would be upset. If the tables were turned, you and Gizelle would be on your podcast saying, oh, that's not right. Folks hiding entire storylines. Y'all know you would be saying that. So don't sit up here and act like Candiace was wrong for going off on Twitter about how you hid your life and gave fake storylines and focused on her and her marriage when you were hiding an entire cheating plot line. The real issue is Robyn is angry that Candiace called her out about her being deceptive and not sharing her life. That's what this whole situation is about. And before anybody says, oh my gosh, Brooke, you're so biased because Robyn and anybody else would feel a type of way if their friend aired them out on social media instead of calling them. But here's my thing. Because we seem to forget that Robyn aired out Candiace last season and tried to expose and embarrass her. So I feel like fair is fair. Robyn got her lick in Miami last season, and Candiace got her lick back off camera on Twitter. So Robyn and Candiace keep going back and forth. They're not getting anywhere. I could have told you that. Karen, you should have left this alone. But Robyn ends it by saying that the best they can expect out of her is to be cordial with Candiace, and that's it. And Robyn, that's a lie, because we see in the next episode that you couldn't even be cordial at Charrisse's crab boil. But again, we'll talk about that later. So now they bring out the cake for Ashley. Nneka goes on to ask Ashley, what has she learned in her 34th year? Ashley says some BS about trying to find your dreams, or I don't know what she said. Every time Ashley talks, I just zone out. But we see the montage play of all of Ashley's milestone moments on this show. And I don't know if it was just me, but it felt like production was giving Ashley a send-off, showing all of her moments of when she came on this show, when her restaurant opened, when it closed, the birth of her children. I said, yeah, it's feeling like this is about to be Ashley's last season. I feel it strongly. So it's the next morning, everybody's getting ready, and we have Gizelle walk over to Karen, and she says, Karen, can me and you go out by the pool and just catch up? So they go out by the pool, and Gizelle brings up the real reason why she did not want to go to Surrey County when Karen invited her a few weeks ago. She goes on to say that when Karen is around Candiace and Wendy, Karen is a different person and she always sides with them. I said, wait, not the same woman who has Robyn as her guard dog and Ashley as one of her minions, not her complaining that Karen defends Wendy and Candiace. It is so funny how it is only okay for people to defend Gizelle, but God forbid they defend her enemies. Now it's an issue. Now it's Karen, you're a different person. Karen, I'm looking at you differently because when you're around them, you're not the same. Oh, but if she were defending you, it would be all right. And if we're being honest, Karen does not defend or stick up for anybody in this group. So for you to act like Karen is a different person, that's comical in itself. Because when Wendy got assaulted last season, Karen was playing the fence. She was sitting up there saying, oh, well, they're both wrong. When Candiace got assaulted in season 5, she was saying the same thing too. And then we found out that Karen ran to HR to get Candiace fired. So let's not with all this, oh, Karen, you always have their backs, you're a different person, because Karen only has Karen's back. Karen is not really a true friend to anybody. So again, sis, you're reaching and you sound really silly to say that Karen is different around them. But anyhow, Gizelle brings up Karen not being there for her and standing up for her and speaking out because of the dirty looks that Candiace and Wendy were giving when she was talking about Grace. So she's like, Karen, I would have had your back. You know how I feel about children. When are you going to rise up and say children are off limits? Now I said, girl, since when are you the advocate for children? Because you sure didn't care when Wendy's kids were getting excluded from your best friend's family fun day last season. Let's stop the BS. Because if you just loved and cared about children so much, you would have said, now, Robyn, I love you, but you are dead ass wrong to exclude Wendy and her kids. And I love how Karen checked you. Karen said, oh, it bothers you so bad that I don't pick sides. And on top of that, you're a grown-ass woman and you're a mother yourself. So why didn't you speak up for yourself? Why do I have to do it? I said, get her again, please.
I'm going to just scoot on over and let you whack him. Get him again. Get him for me.
So Gizelle goes on to say that she just wants to make sure that when Karen's around Wendy and Candiace, that she's not talking about her with them. So Karen makes it clear that that's not the case and that she has no issue telling Gizelle what she said about her to her face. Now, Gizelle, let me stop you right here because you have talked about Candiace and Wendy behind their backs on several occasions. When we see the scenes with them, they're not talking about you. So it's a bit delusional for you to think that you're just living rent-free in Candiace and Wendy's minds. I would say it's the other way around. And I'm still confused as to why you hate Candiace and Wendy so much when you're the one who started all this mess with them. You attacked their marriages in season 6 and in season 7. They checked you on it, and you're just bitter and angry and holding a grudge for no reason that they clocked you. Because let's be so serious. You have no right to be angry at them. So Gizelle and Karen hug it out, and then Karen says that going forward, she'll try to see Gizelle's point of view. So then Gizelle jokes around that her and Karen are like Brandy and Monica, and she's Brandy with the better career. Now, I had to pause and ask, what career do you have, Gizelle? If anything, Karen is the Brandy between you two. Because Karen has her successful candle line that's in Bloomingdale's. She has her fragrance, La Dame. She's booking live shows. She's the fan favorite on RHOP. She has the Grand Dame title that's making her money and keeping her booked and busy. So I don't know why you feel like you have the better career. All you have to your name is Every Hue Beauty, which is now defunct, and G&A with Ashley, and Lord knows how well that's going to do. So the day's activity, they're going to this 16th century castle, and now we see them have some lunch. So they're talking about Karen's new trainer. She's being trained by this ex-NFL star named Vernon Davis. And we find out that Ashley and Vernon know each other. So they're trying to find out, well, how well does Ashley know Vernon? Ashley, of course, she's being evasive. She runs off to the bathroom. But we find out that it's been a little flirting here and there. And I said, Ashley, just be honest. If you slept with the man, then just say it. Like, girl, you're grown. Nobody cares. But all this trying to play coy and not wanting to answer, it is really comical that Ashley is the messiest and the nosiest out of everybody on this cast. But the minute you ask her something about herself, now it's silence, it's crickets, can't get a word out. It's all these excuses about, oh, well, I can't talk about that because I'm Michael and I want to be respectful. And it's like, girl, stop. But Karen goes on to say that Vernon is helping her work on her inner thighs. I think Gizelle makes a joke saying that Karen wants to drop the panties Then you have Mia saying, oh, I'm sure she does want Vernon to work her out because you have Ray over there looking like Mr. Peanut. I said, Mia, and what does your husband Gordon, aka Mr. Brown, look like? Don't do that. Between Gordon and Ray, it's a tie. Like, stop. At least Ray still has 2 nickels to rub together. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Gordon's over there old and broke. So again, sis, not too much about Ray being Mr. Peanut. Now, Karen brings up the conversation that she and Gizelle had earlier about her being a different person when Wendy and Candiace are around her. So you have Mia jumping in. She says that Karen is meaner when they're around. And I said, Mia, are you serious right now? Karen, in my opinion, is consistent. It doesn't matter who she's around. She's usually the same all around the board. So for you to say, oh no, Karen is meaner when she's around Wendy and Candiace, that's not true. If anything, Karen is meaner when she's around Gizelle and Robyn because she has a frenemy relationship with both of them. And we know that she can't stand Robyn and Juan. So if anything, it's the opposite. Now you have Kierna jumping in. She brings up the rift between Gizelle and Candiace. Candiace says, girl, I love you, but I don't want to talk about that. Let's just leave that alone. And I said, now, Kierna, I love you and all. I think that you would make a great addition as a full-time housewife in season 9. But I'm sure you've watched the show. I'm sure you watched season 7 and you know what happened. If you haven't, go back and binge. But let's not with all this, oh, you know, what's the deal with you guys? Girl, don't do it. That ship has sailed. Let's leave that alone. Let's try and have a nice time. Now we see Wendy jump in about how her and Gizelle used to have a real friendship. And that's why the hate between them now is so deep, because what they did have at one point was real. Gizelle, of course, can never be mature. She's looking up at the sky, rolling her eyes, making faces. I said, Gizelle, you can't be mature and just acknowledge that once upon a time, you and Wendy were actually friends. It's going to kill you to say that. Now, I don't have a whole lot to say about these 2 parallel scenes. The ladies all split up into groups to go and do their activities. Karen, Wendy, Candiace, and Mia go off to play tennis. And then we see Kierna, Robyn, Gizelle, Nneka, and Ashley go off and do some skeet shooting. So we see Robyn ask Kierna if Wendy has ever talked badly about her and Gizelle to Kierna. So Kierna's like, no, Wendy does not talk about you, but the shade is definitely implied. Now, like I said earlier, Candiace and Wendy live in your heads rent-free. They do. Because why are you even asking Kierna, is Wendy talking about us? Does she talk badly about us? Why do you care? The way you talk badly about her, even if she was talking badly about you guys to Kierna, it would be fair game, right? Now, Kierna does bring up that Wendy has mentioned Nneka and their beef. And now you have Gizelle coming to Nneka's defense, and she says, well, the beef is really deep for Nneka. So at this point, Nneka walks over to them, and her and Kierna get into it. She's asking Kierna if Kierna has let Wendy know that she deserves an apology. So Kierna's like, I mean, she's the one who's offended. So now you have Nneka playing the victim, and she low-key tells Kierna to stop stirring the pot. And I'm like, Nneka, this whole issue could have been resolved between you and Wendy a long time ago. Also, I don't know why you feel like you're the one owed an apology when you called Wendy out of her name, you embarrassed her in front of this group. Instead of having a one-on-one conversation with Wendy earlier on, you let this stew and simmer. You talked to everybody about this behind Wendy's back. Then at pickleball, you talked down on Wendy, cursed her out, called her mama a witch. So for you to act like you're the one who's been slighted and you're the one who's been wronged, that's a joke. And also, Nneka, I don't think that Kierna is the one that you want to go toe-to-toe with. Something tells me that Kierna is a fighter. So I said, girl, not too much. Talk about, oh, well, don't stir the pots and you're doing all this. I said, baby, if I were you, I would take it down several notches because Kierna might be small, but I feel like she can really get with you if she wants to. So I said, if I were you, I would just drop this, leave this alone. So now the ladies are back at the villa. They're getting ready for their last dinner in the Dominican Republic. And we see Ashley on the couch on FaceTime with Michael and the boys. Now, we can't see Michael. We can only see her boys. But at one point, she says, oh, Michael, by the way, I'm filming. So Michael turns off the camera and she's like, Michael, put my boys back on the screen. And Michael refuses to do so. So we learned that Michael has told her he doesn't ever want to be filmed on camera ever again, and that if he's ever shown on camera, he will sue her. So she says that it makes it really hard because he's a big chunk of her life and she can't really talk about him or even show his face. Now, again, to me, that's a clear sign that this will be Ashley's last season because the fact that we cannot talk about a big part of her life, that right there is going to be a problem. Production, the network, they're not going to allow Ashley to continue to get a six-figure check and not talk about the most pressing issue surrounding her, which is her divorce. So I said right there, Michael is low-key shooting you in the foot because you can't talk about him or even show him. And another reason why I feel like this divorce will never happen, because if she gets fired from this show, she's not going to have that Bravo check anymore. And that's going to mean that she's going to need Michael's help. So now we're at the final dinner and the ladies are all discussing what they did. So Wendy says that they had a great time playing tennis and how they brought up Ashley's divorce and how it came up in conversation that Mia thinks that Ashley is a gold digger. So of course they're all like, here we go. Ashley's upset. And now she questions Mia and she says, but Mia, didn't you marry Gordon for money? So Mia's like, well, I might have.
Bling, bling, bling. Bitches is mad.
You have Ashley saying, well, I didn't marry him for his money. That's not true. I said, Ashley, you can stop that lie. You saw Michael. You were what, 24, 25 when you guys met? You were the waitress at one of his restaurants or whatever, however the story goes. You had your eyes on the prize. You said, let me get me and my mama up out of this tent and let me seize the opportunity and the moment. You are not fooling anybody. You saw that penthouse apartment in the sky and said, let me take my chances and let me be this man's wife and get this money. Mia wasn't here for it. She said, well, at the end of the day, I'm not the one going through a divorce. So now Ashley says, but you did say you contemplated getting a divorce. And Mia says, yeah, I definitely did say that because I was feeling that way, but I've been 100% transparent with this group, but you haven't. So now you have Ashley saying that Mia's just angry because she got fool's gold and she got the real thing. I said, really? The same man who kicked you out of the penthouse in season 2 when you guys got into that fight? The same man who's not giving you alimony or a lump sum? How did you hit the jackpot and how did Mia get fool's gold? If you ask me, you guys are both on the same level. Because while Gordon might not have anything, Michael has money but is stingy and holding it over your head. And you barely have access to anything. And when the producer asked you if you have any access to any of the accounts, you said, oh, we do have a joint account where I use only for the kids to buy groceries and to get some Uber Eats. I said, girl, what? How old are you? 21? Are we college students? We're just happy to get some Uber Eats money? I was like, that's embarrassing. This man is worth $30 million and you're bragging about a joint account for groceries and Uber Eats on an occasion. And then when you said, oh yeah, well, he also pays for my car and I do have a credit card that I can use, but I don't like to use it. That's what you think is a big deal? I wouldn't even tell anybody that. I'd be too embarrassed. So because Gizelle doesn't want to see her minion being roasted, she jumps in and says, I think we can all agree that if Ashley were a gold digger, she would still be with Michael, but she's not. So now Mia makes a comment saying, oh, because she's gallivanting with ex-NFL players like Vernon Davis. So because she brought up that, Gizelle brings up how they were asking Ashley earlier on about her relationship with Vernon Davis. And now we have Karen bringing up how she likes being trained by him. And now you have Robyn jumping in saying, I'm just confused. Why do you have somebody who's not a trainer training you? And Karen says, girl, why do you care so much? Why are you so pressed? So like clockwork, Robyn and Karen get into it. You have Robyn saying, I'm just confused because you're in great health, but then you have health problems. Which one is it? Girl, leave Karen alone. It seems like everything that Karen does or says bothers you. And who are you to question her about her health? But we end the episode with Robyn toasting to all the women and thanking them all for a great trip. Overall, the Dominican Republic trip was cute. Definitely one of their better trips. But I really hope that for season 9, I hope that Andy listens to Candiace and Wendy and he lets them host the trips next year, because Wendy wants to go to Nigeria and Candiace wants to go back to France. And I think that that would be amazing. And Bravo has the budget. They have the money. They have the coins. They can afford to spend on the Potomac women and give them a 5-star trip. That would be awesome. But now we open up episode 16 with Candiace and Wendy meeting up at Kierna's wellness spa. Now, we know that Kierna owns a med spa. She does waxing and lasering, all that good stuff. And I think that Kierna, I said it before, I think that she would be a fabulous addition to the Housewives of Potomac. I think season 9, get her back on. I think she's beautiful. She's well dressed. She's funny. She has her own business. She's successful. She's already in tight with the majority of this group. Everybody seems to like her. She can hold her own. I think she would be a great replacement for Ashley and Nneka. Bring her on. But anyhow, we see Candiace getting her vagina lasered. And now we see Wendy getting her armpits lasered. Now, I've heard some amazing things about the laser treatments. I know that the hair is pretty much gone permanently, or I know you don't have to worry about it for a long time, but I want to get that done. And I think that that's amazing. I've heard that it's painless. You don't really feel anything. And even Candiace said, oh yeah, I don't feel anything. It's like a tickle. So yeah, I want to look into laser treatments. I've heard all good things. So they're all done getting lasered. Now they're having some champagne. And Candiace brings up the trip. And she was proud of how Kierna was able to hold her own on the trip. Now, Kierna is just like me, because if I do feel a bit slighted, I am going to keep bringing it up. Especially if I feel like I didn't get an adequate or proper apology or acknowledgement on the issue. Because Kierna said, now, we had a good time, but I have to admit, I was a bit shocked at how you guys did not check on me when I was sick the first day. So Wendy says, I don't want it to get lost on you, but we did care and we were concerned about you. And I just said, okay. Now, listen, I'm going to give you guys the benefit of the doubt, because they did say that Wendy had went over to Kierna's room and got her a ginger ale or a soda. They did check up on her, and production purposely cut that out. So Kierna says that the trip was definitely a bird's eye view of all the different friendship dynamics in the group. So now she brings up Candiace and Robyn's friendship, or the lack thereof. And Candiace says that the words that Robyn chose to use, like defamation, she was shocked. So Candiace spills that she's been sitting on some tea for quite some time about Robyn, and she's not going to share it just yet, but she's been sitting on it for quite some time. So she thinks that it's comical that Robyn would even say anything about defamation when she's said and done some things that could teeter on that line too. I'm not going to hold you guys. I don't have a whole lot to say about this next scene. We see Gizelle at home. She's with her daughters. It's the big day. Grace is leaving for college, and Gizelle and Grace are in the car on their way to the airport. Now, I thought it was a special moment seeing Grace hug her sisters goodbye. They were like, okay, make sure to call. It was so cute. You can tell that her daughters are really close with each other. And I thought it was really sweet when the producer was asking Grace, what are some lessons that her mom has taught her? And Grace said, my mom has taught me that you can still be a mom and still do your own thing and still work. And I think that that's great to be well-rounded. And I thought that was awesome. Despite Gizelle's antics, despite me feeling like Gizelle can be very nasty and hateful, I do think that she's a great mom. And it shows with her daughters, the close relationship that they have. They're able to talk to her about anything and talk to her freely and be comfortable. You can tell that she listens to them, she encourages them, and that's awesome. It was a very touching scene. I got a bit choked up because I was like, damn, time is flying. The girls were like 10 or 11 when the show first came on, and now Grace is grown. She's 18 in college, very exciting. So now we jump over to Robyn and we see Charrisse and Ashley are over. Now, Ashley, what was this dress? Ashley cannot dress at all. And then on top of that, she's wearing this cheap party dress in the daytime going over to somebody's house. And did you guys catch that shade that she threw about Robyn's grass? She was like, oh, that grass is thirsty. I said, girl, you just got a house 2 minutes ago. I wouldn't say anything. Folks finally get a few coins to rub together and now they want to shade somebody else. Isn't that funny? Now this spread that Robyn had for the ladies had my mouth watering. I love sushi, so I was definitely salivating watching them pick at the sushi. She has some fruit. I said, I said, yeah, I'm getting hungry right now. But I can barely eat anything still because you know how it goes. When you're healing from wisdom teeth extraction, you can only eat mashed potatoes, applesauce, yogurt, all soft food. So yeah, y'all, I am dying on the inside. I can't wait to eat a steak and some lobster and some sushi again, okay? So Ashley brings up that she's been running around all day because her youngest was sick. She took him to the doctor, and then she goes on to say that she needs a drink and a massage. So now Charrisse brings up that back in the day, she used to go to this spa in Virginia, and the massages were so good that she had the man come to her house. So she says that on this one particular day, he told her, oh, well, I can also give you a vaginal massage too. So you have Ashley throwing some shade that Potomac is full of rich divorced women and they have pool boys and landscapers and all that stuff. And if Charrisse wants a little massage, it's no judgment, get it how you live. And I said, you are so shady. Now, I told you guys, I would not be surprised if Charrisse has paid for some penis before because she does give those vibes. So they start talking a little bit about the trip, and now Charrisse says that she wants to host a crab boil at her new home, and she wants to invite everybody, and then she also adds that she's now friends with Jacqueline, and she wants to invite her as well, and she hopes that Mia's not upset. So now Robyn wants to know if Candiace is invited, and Charrisse says, yeah, me and her are cool, and now Ashley goes on to ask if Karen is invited. So Charrisse says, yeah, she's invited too. And you guys already know that I don't have an issue with Karen. Karen has an issue with me. Now, I said this in my recaps for last season about the whole Karen and Charrisse feud. I still stand by my thoughts that I think the real issue with Karen not liking Charrisse, I always got the impression that there was a bit of resentment and maybe a little bit of jealousy at the fact that Charrisse is very well connected. Whether we all don't like Charrisse, the facts are the facts. Charrisse knows a lot of people. She's well liked. While Charrisse does not make for great TV, I don't find her to be entertaining. I'm not going to take away from the fact that she is very well connected and she is powerful. So I've always felt that maybe Karen is a bit jealous of the fact that regardless of whether this show is on the air or off the air, Charrisse will always be connected socially. And I'm not saying that Karen isn't well respected or popular, but we do know that Charrisse really has all the contacts. Just my opinion. Again, I could be wrong, but I've always felt like that's the real reason why there's so much friction on Karen's end. Because realistically speaking, Robyn, Gizelle, and Mia have all said some really nasty things about Karen, and she's able to coexist and talk to them and still be around them. And if she's able to forgive them, then there shouldn't really be a reason why she can't seem to forgive Charrisse. Just my 2 cents. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks that, but I just had to say it. So now we jump on over to Karen at home. She has Gizelle over, and she's baking Gizelle some chocolate chip cookies because Gizelle is sad about dropping her daughter off to school. So Karen's like, girl, I've known you all these years. I have never known you to look this pitiful. You were on Instagram just crying. Your nose is all red. And I have something for you. I have a bottle of 1942 because we know that Gizelle loves some tequila. So they sit down, have some drinks. And now Gizelle says, Karen, I want to invite you to this event. It's Charisse's crab boil. She invited everybody, including you. So, of course, Karen makes up some excuse saying that she can't go because Ray has a seafood allergy. Now, I said, Karen, that's a bold-faced lie. They even played the clips back of when you guys were in, I think, where were you guys at? Season 6, you guys had that trip when Mia and Candiace got into it and threw lettuce at each other. Remember that? And you guys had that big seafood boil at the table. Ray was sitting right there. He was just fine. So now Karen's like, yeah, I'll pass on that. I don't like Charrisse. Charrisse does not like me. We're good. Now again, Karen, that's not all the way true. You don't like Charrisse. Charrisse actually wants to be friends with you. So it's like a one-sided beef if we're being honest. So Gizelle is still begging Karen to go. She says that Charrisse invited Jacqueline and how it's going to be a hot mess because Mia's going to be there. And Karen says, again, I'm going to pass on that, but you guys have fun and be blessed. So it's the day of Charisse's crab boil, and I have to say, Charisse's new town home is gorgeous. I said she did that. Now, Charrisse, as stunning as your home is, why can't you get your look together? Charrisse, you have too much money to be out here with your hair looking like you just plopped it on your head. I don't know why Charrisse refuses to get a better wig. I don't understand it. Charrisse, you have been on this show as a full-time housewife, as a friend of, for 8 years now. If Karen could tighten up and get her look together, because say what you want, Karen has had a glow up. Charrisse, you are still looking the exact same. I'm just confused. I am truly flabbergasted at why you were on here looking all disheveled. I mean, you look like you just threw something on and you forgot that you have cameras coming to your home and they're going to film you to be on national TV. And then that confessional look that you have, Charrisse, I said, girl, that wig is giving Rick James. I said, girl, what's going on? But with all that being said, you do have a gorgeous home. So now we see Robyn arrive. She's the first guest. And of course, the first question out of her mouth is, who all is about to be here? So Charrisse says, well, pretty much everybody except for the grand scam, Karen. She told me that Ray has a seafood allergy. And then she's like, but hasn't she been to prior crab boils that I've had? And of course, we play the tapes back, and Karen has indeed been to several of the crab boils that the ladies have held. So I just said, Charrisse, if I were you, I would just let the dream die. Karen does not like you. She does not see it for you. Don't keep asking, why doesn't she like me? What have I done to her? Why is she lying about this, that, and the third? She doesn't like you. Pick up your self-esteem, pick up your self-worth, and let it be. Because I'll be damned if I'm sitting up there begging somebody to finally like me when they've made it clear that they don't. Karen doesn't have a heaven or a hell to put you in, so why do you care so much? And we also find out that Wendy won't be in attendance because she's in LA getting an award. Now, a lot of y'all made such great points on Twitter. Why didn't production show Wendy in LA? I would have loved a parallel scene with Wendy receiving her award, seeing her out and about in the LA streets, and I feel like they're just doing her so wrong. Because if we're being honest, Wendy has gotten very little screen time unless it's in a group setting. But I'm praying that season 9, we'll see a lot more of her. I definitely think that she and Candiace will be back because they were on the Kelly Clarkson show with Andy Cohen. I was there for that episode, and they cut out the part where Wendy shouted me out in the crowd and I stood up and said hello and waved. Yeah, they cut that all out. I was low-key upset about that. No, I was high-key upset. I'm not going to hold you. I was actually hurt. But yeah, I was there for that episode. They looked great. She gave me a big shout out that was cut out, but yeah. I definitely think that Wendy and Candiace will be back. And did anybody think it was sweet that Charrisse had her son walk everybody to the door since it was raining outside? He had an umbrella for them. I said, what a gentleman. So we see Candiace arrive next. And of course, Robyn is super petty. When she sees Candiace at the door, she goes back upstairs to try to avoid her. So it's really awkward between them. I said, now, Robyn, you said in the DR that you're able to be cordial with Candiace, but now she's here and you can't even say hi to her. Which one is it? Things are more awkward because Gizelle arrives, and when I tell you that you could cut that tension with a knife, I mean, it was awkward. They were all in Charrisse's kitchen, just standing there, looking at the ceiling. I said, damn. It's really uncomfortable to watch. And if I'm uncomfortable, then Lord knows how they all feel. They're all together filming this show together like this. And I just have to ask, is this fun for y'all to be filming with people who you guys hate? That's why I keep saying there's no other way to move forward unless they either all make up or everybody's fired and we start with a brand new group. Or we fire some of the women and keep the other half, because again, we can't go forward with another season seeing everybody at odds like this. It's just very uncomfortable to watch. I don't like watching it. It's not fun. It's not entertaining. I don't need to see that. I don't want that energy coming into my home. I want to see women who are able to, throw some light shade, go out, and still be able to talk and laugh with each other. But all this tension and all this beef, it does not make for a good show. So now we see Jacqueline arrive, and of course, Gizelle brings up how she spoke with Mia the other day, and Mia said that you guys talked it out and you guys were good. And Jacqueline says, well, I wouldn't say all that because I ended the conversation with, are you effing crazy? So now Gizelle makes a joke saying, oh, I thought you said, are you effing a rapper? So now they're all laughing about that. And now we see Charrisse's other friends arrive along with Kierna and Ashley. So they all sit down, they're ready to eat. And we see Nneka arrive, and she's wearing her sash and her crown when she was crowned the new Grande Dame of Potomac by Gizelle and Ashley. So I was just laughing because, Nneka, you did all that trying to get under Karen and Wendy's skin wearing that, and neither one of them were present. Wendy was in LA, and Karen can't stand Charrisse, so she stayed home. So you wearing the crown and the sash was for nothing. So now Charrisse brings up how when her and Jacqueline met, they hung out, they went out to this bar, and then Nneka showed up, and the three of them had a great night. So now Robyn jumps in, and she wants to know, what did Jacqueline tell Nneka about Mia? So Nneka says, I told Jacqueline that me and Mia are hanging out, we're becoming friends, and she told me to be cautious and be aware. And now you have Jacqueline going on a rant about Mia. She says that Mia is evil and she's trash. And then she says that Mia is the devil. So Charrisse is like, oh my gosh, don't say all that. Those are really strong words. And Jacqueline's still going on and on about how she can't stand Mia. And right as she's talking, Mia walks up the steps. I was like, girl, the timing of all that couldn't be better. So Mia's there. She says hello to everybody. She even says hello to Jacqueline. And then she says that she's not upset that Charrisse invited Jacqueline because she's very well aware that Jacqueline is friends with all of them. Now, may I be honest with you guys? I don't really care about this whole Mia and Jacqueline beef because we haven't talked about it all season long. We have 2 more episodes left, and now we want to bring this up. I feel like, why? Why now? Jacqueline is not even a friend of the show this season, so why are we talking about old stuff and Jacqueline's not even back as a friend in any capacity? But anyhow, we see Mia say to the group that her and Jacqueline do have some stuff to talk about, but not in front of everybody. And now Charrisse directs them downstairs to her champagne room to talk it out and hash out all their issues. So Mia starts it off by saying, full transparency, I was going through a lot mentally last year. And Jacqueline says, that's no excuse because you could have called me and told me that. One thing about Mia, anytime you get into a disagreement with her, Mia is always chock full of excuses. So she brings up how Jacqueline had made that comment saying that she needs more dick. I said, Mia, you're going to bring that up? All the nasty and hateful things that you said about your friend, and now you want to harp on that one thing that she said? Like, really? I don't know. When it comes to accountability, Mia misses the mark every single time. She really does. So now Mia goes on to say that she's been going to therapy and how Jacqueline has been a main concern in her sessions. So Mia starts crying, and Jacqueline says, I think I know what the real issue is between us. And she brings up the situation that happened when Mia was younger, when they were both teenagers. And we remember when Karen had her PAVE event earlier on this season, Mia did share with Ashley that she was assaulted and she thought that Jacqueline knew all about it. And that's why she still harbors anger towards Jacqueline because of what happened to her when they were teenagers. Now, present day, it appears that Mia and Jacqueline are like this again because I saw on Instagram they were all hugged up. They were out and about. So I guess they're good now. So Mia and Jacqueline rejoin the party. And now we see Charrisse bring up the tension between Robyn and Candiace. She says, I noticed earlier on that Robyn and Candiace, you guys didn't say anything to each other when you guys came in. And of course, we already know it's going to lead to a big fight because Robyn and Candiace cannot get on one accord and really just put this to the side. So I just said, Charrisse, I don't understand why you want to bring drama to your own party, but I guess. Now, a quick side note, the way I was screaming at how they were all talking about the crabs were unseasoned, they were like, these crabs are dry, there's no flavor, can we get some Old Bay? Can we get some salt and pepper, something? And honestly, right now, the way I am so hungry and I'm so tired of eating mashed potatoes and applesauce and yogurt, I would kill for an unseasoned crab. That's how hungry I am. So anyhow, Candiace says that she has been privy to some information that has her on pause. So they're all like, okay, girl, what's the information? We find out that Robyn shared her and Candiace's private text with a blogger. And did you guys notice how at first Robyn denied doing that? Because then 5 minutes later, she's like, okay, I did it, and what? So now you have Candiace saying, I can't believe you, and then she calls Robyn a hypocrite. Now, one thing I've noticed about Robyn, since Robyn is not a good reader, she's not great at arguments, every time she gets defensive, she always repeats back what the other person is saying, and then she starts making noises like she's 5 years old. Because for her to say, oh my gosh, I'm a hypocrite, everybody, I'm a hypocrite, everybody, I'm a hypocrite, did you hear her? That's immature. Learn how to have a disagreement with somebody and not resorting to childish antics. That was embarrassing. So Robyn goes on to say that she's proud of what she did and how she's never publicly disparaged Candiace. So she's confused as to why Candiace is so angry about her reaching out to this blogger slash podcaster. Now, I saw a lot of Candiace haters on social media saying that Candiace's receipts didn't give anything. And personally, I think that they did, because honestly speaking, if the shoe were on the other foot, we do know that Robyn would have blasted Candiace for reaching out to a blogger and showing their private texts and their private messages. So let's just call a spade a spade. Also, I think it does show that Robyn has been petty in all of this too, and that her hands aren't clean, and she's going around to bloggers and whoever else will listen to her and trying to get her side of the story out there. I think that's petty. She keeps saying, oh, well, if Candiace had a problem, she could have called me. Well, the same could be said about you too, Robyn. If you were this upset, you could have called Candiace up instead of sharing private texts with a blogger. That's also a breach of privacy. You're showing our private messages to somebody else. That's not right. Again, maybe I'm biased, but I feel like Robyn is full of it. And ultimately, I think it's just really interesting that Robyn has been able to skate by without sharing her real life. Because if I'm being honest, the real issue that we should have been focusing on for season 8 should have been Robyn and Juan and their marriage and the state of it. And how long has this been going on? How does she feel? But instead, we're focusing on Wendy and Nneka and the stupid shrine talk and Mia and Karen. And it's just a lot of stupidity. But yeah, I was happy that Candiace revealed this information, because if the shoe were on the other foot, Robyn would have done the same thing. But at this point, Robyn and Candiace are just going back and forth. Nothing is being resolved. And now Charrisse takes it upon herself to start yelling and banging the table, telling them to stop. So she's like, just stop, just stop. This isn't right. It's effed up. Stop it. So now Charrisse starts crying. They're all like, girl, what? Gizelle is laughing. She said, how many drinks has Charrisse had? Because, girl, why are you crying? This whole screaming moment felt like a cheap grab to get some attention. It felt forced. It felt phony. It felt like, what can I do to have the cameras all on me and to have a big moment of the season so that I can come back on as a full-time housewife? That's what it felt like. But we see Candiace get up. She goes into the kitchen. She apologizes to Charrisse's kids for yelling in their home. She's like, I'm so sorry. I have home training. Like, please forgive me. They're like, girl, it's cool. We know that you guys are all on this show, always screaming and cursing each other out. It's not new. Like, we know. So now we see Charrisse get up to take a breather. I said, Charrisse, if you don't stop with the dramatics, stop. Just doing the most for no reason. But now we see Candiace leave, and then you have Robyn talking about if Candiace and Robyn don't speak, they don't speak. If we don't F with each other, we don't F with each other. And then Gizelle says, noted. I said, y'all two are just so hateful. Because I just don't understand, why do you have this much smoke for Candiace and Wendy, but yet you guys are the ones who have started all the drama with them? Like, I don't get it. But yeah, I was glad to see Candiace leave that party early, because that was a mess. And now we see Mia saying that one goal she has for the group is for them to all come together. I said, Mia, unless we see people being threatened with being fired, that is the only way we will see peace on this show. The way it's going, I don't know how y'all plan on moving forward as a group. And that's where the episode ends. Y'all, that was my double recap for Potomac. I told you guys I had a lot to say. I'm dying to hear your thoughts about both episodes. What are your predictions for the reunion? What are your predictions and theories for season 9? Do you think that we might see this group actually come together and move forward? Let me know. But y'all, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your patience. I hope you all enjoyed. And you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye. And a quick side note, for the other recaps, I'm going to try to get them out this week. If not, then they'll probably be out next week, okay? So just bear with me. I'm doing my best.